Jonathan Lemire, at the Georgia rally, we're really burying the lead. Donald Trump has been a scourge to Georgia Republicans, and they've said as much. He was responsible for their loss in the 2020 Senate race, and which, of course, kept Republicans from being the majority party in the United States Senate. He was responsible for the Senate candidate's loss in 2022, which also helped Democrats control the Senate again. He goes in 2024. Kamala Harris makes Georgia a swing state once again, as you said, and the numbers are all showing it. And what does he do? And he's raging behind the scenes, according to my sources inside the campaign. So what does he do? He does the exact thing that his campaign staff, that members of the Georgia GOP would not want him to do. He picks a fight with an extraordinarily popular Republican governor, and I will say also with a Secretary of State in Georgia that, yes, recorded Donald Trump trying to rig the election, and then Brad Raffensperger then went to the polls the next fall with Donald Trump trying to defeat him. And what happened? He won in a landslide victory in the primary. But this is what Donald Trump, instead of doing what would have been good for Donald Trump and good for Republicans, and either making peace with Brian Kemp and Brad Raffensperger, or at least not saying anything, this is what Donald Trump did at a critical moment in this campaign.
Your governor, Kemp, and Raffensperger are doing everything possible to make 2024 difficult for Republicans to win. What are they doing? I don't know. They got something in mind, they got a little something in mind. Kemp is very bad for the Republican Party. Under these kinds of woke radical left policies, Atlanta is like a killing field, and your governor ought to get off his and do something about it. He's a bad guy, he's a disloyal guy, and he's a very average governor. Little Brian Kemp, bad guy. But think of it. I got this guy, just think, and then that's it. I got this guy nominated, I then got him elected. Without me, he doesn't get nominated and he doesn't get elected. He's a bad guy, and he's not doing this country a good service. People are looking at Georgia with Fani and her lover and all of the other things, saying, what the hell is going on in Georgia? What the hell is going on? The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to let them rig the presidential election in 2024.
The new Trump.
Wow. So he's getting ready for a fight.
The thing is, Jonathan, in so many ways, this is so bad for him. It's so bad for his campaign. And I'll just underline to everybody again, when I talk about what Brian Kemp has done, he not only won easily in the general election, he won a landslide in the GOP primary. Republicans like him there. Donald Trump's biggest problem was that a lot of Republicans stayed home in the northern suburbs of Atlanta. Republicans in the northern suburbs of Atlanta love Brian Kemp. Republicans that Donald Trump need the most love Brian Kemp. And he used his rally in Atlanta trashing their governor. And again, there's nothing logical about it. There's nothing rational about it. There's nothing sane about it. So the question for Republicans inside and outside of that campaign is, what's wrong with Donald Trump?
Yeah, remember that Georgia arrived as a swing state ahead of schedule in 2020 because of Trump's poor performance in office. And then, of course, no one anticipated Democrats would get both Senate seats. But Trump, while fighting the big lie, refused to go down there and campaign. The one event he had was the screed against all the Republicans there, turned off GOP voters. Democrats get both seats and then the majority of the upper chamber. And we have seen now all that talk of this professional, disciplined Trump campaign. That's gone. That's out the window right now. The candidate himself is making the decisions, much to the consternation of those around him, and he is rattled. We always say this here, when you want to know how Donald Trump really feels, look at Truth Social in the middle of the night, and it's just been screed after screed since Vice President Harris ascended to the top of the ticket. That campaign, the Trump campaign, has no answer yet how to respond to her. He is rattled by the crowd size, obviously. Look, they both filled that arena, but Harris could do it. Biden, that was something he couldn't do. And now Trump thinks that was a huge advantage, a blow to his ego. That's now gone. And it can't be said enough, Joe. You're right. Brian Kemp is really popular there in Georgia. And the combination of Harris at the top of the ticket and Trump reigniting this feud with Kemp, a couple Republicans said to me over the weekend, Georgia is very much in play right now, and they feel like it could slip away from Republicans.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah, and John, you do have Donald Trump raging right now, out of control. You have the campaign manager posting pictures of Tony Soprano flipping the bird.
Nice.
Which, again, gives you a nice look into the state of mind. And I suspect the meltdown will continue even more if Kamala Harris selects Josh Shapiro, as many believe she's going to do, because that is the one vice presidential pick that the Trump campaign fears the most, because it really moves Pennsylvania, the most important state, to leaning sort of in Harris's direction.
Well, first, you know how popular Brian Kemp is? Anybody have any idea? Brian Kemp's approval rating in Georgia? 63%. Now, 63% is a high approval rating. If you got to attack somebody, I mean, it just boggles the mind.
Look at him.
63% approval rating, Brian Kemp. So, that's basically all the Republicans in Georgia and a decent chunk of the Democrats in Georgia who like Brian Kemp, and yet Donald Trump thinks that's the right way to try to win the state of Georgia. Now, to get to your second point, Joe, this is why this matters so much. The Trump campaign, back when they were riding high, used to talk about, I'm talking about around the convention time, used to talk about all the paths they had to 270 electoral votes. And, oh, God, we see so many paths. We're going to get 320 electoral votes. Maybe we'll get 350 electoral votes. They had all these paths. But what they also would say, Tony Fabrizio, Trump's pollster, sat in a small room with a bunch of people, with a few people in Milwaukee, including me, and said, we have all these paths to 270, but here's the easiest path we have. And I raise this because it goes right to your question. So the easiest path we have to 270, and this is what it's going to come down to, I think, for them, is we hold all the states that we won in 2020, and we win Georgia and Pennsylvania. We don't have to win Arizona. We don't have to win Nevada. We don't have to win Wisconsin. We don't have to win Michigan. If we win the states we held in 2020, plus Georgia and Pennsylvania. Look at Trump's ad spending right now and what they bought over the course of the next couple months. The biggest states, Pennsylvania and Georgia. And so here we are, Donald Trump attacking Brian Kemp in Georgia, and worried a lot, as you just said, about Josh Shapiro being the running mate because of Pennsylvania, because that's the ball game for them. That's their easiest way. And it may be as much as the blue wall states were Joe Biden's only way to get to 270. This may be the central way, and maybe the only way for Donald Trump to get to 270. And these are not these does not augur well if those are the two states that Trump needs to win.
Well, and Mika, the problem is you can spend as much money as you want to in Georgia. You trash an extraordinarily popular governor with a 63% approval rating, and Republicans probably approval rating in the 90s, right? You do that, then you're going to get blasted with earned media. It's going to be negative. And the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, day in and day out, and day in and day out, going to be showing how this feud is playing out. And that's something, again, that just has the very real possibility of cratering support in the suburbs of Atlanta.
There's just also strong contrast in terms of optics, where Donald Trump seems angry and bellowing.
Right.
And now the other side just seems hopeful and happy.
Right.